really into our big program now. Obviously, it's the Centennial and some of these great projects that we're going to get to look at. And, this is really an opportunity as we approach our 100th anniversary to recognize and celebrate not only our accomplishments and partnership with the community, but also, the values of Rotary and be a bridge to the future for our next millennium. So really excited to hear about 3 potential projects that Jody and Bob are going to help tee up for us. So Jody, Bob, Heidi, over there at Houston, you have the stage now there, Bob.
All right. Thank you very much. And for those of you, there's a bunch of new people since I was president in 2017. So now my name is Bob Burton, and I'm going to kind of give you a background about the Centennial project. First, I'm going to talk about the brief history of our club. Back in 1921 in the fall, Huntington Taylor was appointed the chairman of the organizing committee to institute this Rotary Club here in Coeur d'Alene. And it was under the guidance of the Spokane 21 Rotary Club. And the club was officially chartered then, after they organized, was officially chartered on January 1st, 1922. So that's our anniversary date. Huntington Taylor then became the first president of our club. And interestingly enough, our club was the 1050th Rotary Club admitted to Rotary International, so 1050. In the past 100 years, obviously, as you look around our community, our club has done a major part of having civic projects and community participation in community affairs. We've done so much. So I'm going to fast forward to 2013, when Wanda Quinn was the president of our club. I was on the board at that time and proposed to the board an idea to celebrate our centennial anniversary with a major project that would serve the Coeur d'Alene community while still honoring our club's history. Wanda's board then we met with the Apostles Club. Now, the Apostles Club, for those of you who don't know, are the past presidents of our club. And they're very active in our club. So we met with them and discussed this project. They approved of it, and so the board then passed that in the 2013-14 board with Wanda Quinn. The next year, Matt Lyman was president, and their board continued to support this idea. And in fact, then his board was the first to contribute $30,000 of club's funds then to the Centennial project. The next year was Ron Oren's presidency, and he likewise contributed an additional $30,000 to the project. In 2016, Heidi Rogers became the president, and in addition to contributing the $30,000 for the project, her board also appointed Wanda Quinn and myself to begin to gather information from the community to try to determine what kind of projects might be feasible, where we could locate them, et cetera, et cetera. So we began that and also on that committee was Heidi and Ron Oren. In 2017, then I succeeded Heidi, and my board also graciously recommended and approved $30,000 to the project. In 2018, Josie Adevedo became president, and her board also did likewise. 2019, Kimber Gates, her board also contributed $30,000. And I assume 2020, Luke Russell, I haven't heard for sure, but I assume his board also. We're assuming that he did. But the whole goal was that we were going to try to get between $250,000 to $300,000. The money has been managed and invested by Les Atchley and Matt Lyman. And it's being held through the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Foundation. So that's where we are now. And I'm going to turn it over to Jody, and she'll tell you about how we're getting to the particular projects.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, so what happened after Bob's term is we decided to expand how many folks we have looking at the Centennial project, and we created what's called a President's Council. President's Council is in our Rotary bylaws, and it is composed of past presidents, the current president, and the president-elect. And so that is who is comprised of our President's Council. We put an ask out there to the past presidents who wanted to join. We currently have 21 members on that council. And when we formed the council, we created guidelines for a Centennial project of what we really wanted it to look for and be for our community and be for our club. And we also started the process of how we were going to start getting proposals for this project. And we looked to our club members first to say, what can we do? What do you know of out in the community? And that's where we are today. The President's Council we're appointed to see the project through completion. So we're going to continue to work on that piece of it and work with the board as well on that. So what happened, we got all of our proposals back in June of this year, and we received 12 proposals for our Centennial project. The President's Council met. We narrowed those 12 down to 3 to be presented to the board for approval. They approved those 3, and the next steps will be us presenting them to you, our membership, and then you will get the final vote on them. And so I'm going to turn it now over to Heidi to talk about voting. Are you coming up here? Okay. Oh, that's not 6 feet. Okay.
I just want to share just quickly about a process for how we're going to do the voting. At the end of this meeting, if we timed it right, you will receive could receive a text message and an email. All of those information came from what's in Club Runner. So some of you, about 30, don't have your cell number in, so you will only receive an email. You can vote from either application, from your email, and it'll click you on a secure site to submit your ballot. Same thing on your text message. You only can vote once. It's just like the presidential election. One vote, one time. That's the only way you can do it. So voting will start this afternoon, and it will end December 2nd at noon. You will get 3 reminders. I think 2 are emails and 1 is a text message. We've allocated 176 emails are going out today with that information. It will say Coeur d'Alene Rotary new ballot, or you're invited if it's an email. But check, if you do not receive it, check your spam, and if you have more trouble, please contact me. The ballot will randomly select the order of the projects, and there's 3 projects that you'll hear about, but it's the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park, Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Foundation, and the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Fountain, Coeur d'Alene Rotary Lake Coeur d'Alene Experience. And then when the process is over on the 2nd at noon, Mike Nail and myself will get the results, and then we will share it, I guess, that following Friday. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi. So again, we want to thank all of you that submitted a project, because we know the time and the effort that you put into these. So we really thank you for that. The order of how they will be presented was officially through Bob and I sharing a glass of wine at Vine and Olive. And we had our dear Danielle pull names out of a bag. And so that is the order of which they were presented. It's totally random and fair to all concerned. So with that, I will tee it up. Our first presenter is going to be Bill Reagan and Jack, and that is going to be our Coeur d'Alene Rotary Centennial Park.
Okay, I'd ask that everybody mute yourself except for Jack and Bill, of course. And I will give you the 1 to go at around 7 minutes, and then everybody will have the opportunity for a couple of minutes to go ahead and ask questions. So Jack, go ahead and share your screen now, please.
Is it coming up?
Yeah, we got,
Okay.
Yes.
there we go.
Great, are we ready, Jack?
Yep.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bill Regan, General Manager of the Coeur d'Alene Resort, and I've also been involved in the Downtown Association for about the last 30 years. We're very proud of a nice little pocket park that we have downtown, and we thought that it possibly presented itself as a great opportunity for the Rotary to be a Centennial project. So the site we're specifically speaking about is the old FW Woolworth site, which is located between 3rd and 4th Street on Sherman. And as a lot of you know, the building burned down. It said back in the 80s, but I think it might have even been in the 70s. So it's been a park since then. Don Johnson and Tom Robb kind of put the money together and started the park and did a great job. Since then, it's been under the care of really the Downtown Association to maintain it. And we see it as a great opportunity for the Rotary Club to really have a visible identity downtown. It's a great park. It's really a unique opportunity for the Rotary Club, since we've been working on this probably for about 10, 15 years to acquire it. It's been a project that's been difficult to because the owners are from out of the area to really make happen. But now there's the possibility of it really happening. This area currently is used by a lot of individuals at lunchtime. They'll go over and have their lunch in the park. There's summer concerts on Tuesday evenings, and there's numerous community events throughout the year that take place downtown, whether it be Halloween or an Applepalooza, or even you've seen some of the things that we've done on the east wall of the park down there, where we had the pictures of the community leaders, and currently there's a painting of Playland Pier down there. Our area is really seeing some rapid growth, and this is really a once in a lifetime opportunity, I think, to assure that this stays as a pocket park. I don't know if many of you have been to Seattle to see the UPS waterfall garden. It's a 60 by 80 foot pocket park in Pioneer Square, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think this has the potential of being something like that. If we're not able to acquire it now, we don't know what'll happen. Obviously, it would be a prime lot for development downtown, and we would lose that green space forever. So we feel this is really a great opportunity for the Rotary to join with Ignite and acquire this. Let me see. I think we've got another slide in there, Jack, kind of for those of you that aren't real familiar with it downtown. Let's see. So we've got a couple others. You have another one in there, Jack. So this is again showing some of the uses of it. One of the great things that it has right now, it has a great lake view downtown. Right there's a beautiful view of the lake. Again, the park is heavily used, and we think it provides a great opportunity. The plan is, if it could come together, the purchase price of the park is $525,000. Ignite has already committed $500,000 to the purchase of the park. From the Centennial Fund would be $300,000 that could be used mainly for improvements. There's $25,000 that needs to go to the purchase price. The balance of it would be for improvements. The sequence as how it happened, it would be acquired in 2020. Any Rotary improvements could be done in 2021, and then it would transfer to the city. I think one of the unique things about this is the opportunity that it gives you. And I think you can do whatever you want. If you want to put a water feature in there, you can put a water feature in there. If you want to put an interpretive exhibit in there, you can put an interpretive exhibit in there. Certainly the Rotary Arch is something that really got me excited about this because of the visibility that it gives the organization. And the Rotary has done so much for this community, and I don't think it's really gotten the recognition that it deserves. And I certainly think this would just really be a prominent feature of the park. I can't think of another street in Coeur d'Alene that has more exposure than that area between 3rd and 4th Street on Sherman. It certainly is heavily traveled, and the traffic is slowed down, and so you see what's taking place down there. So I think, you know, other things that could happen, there could be a small stage in there, there could be a sound system, there could be, you know, it's totally open to your imagination. I think that's another exciting thing I think about it is there's really not going to be any limitations to what you can do to this park. It's only limited by what your imagination is. So just kind of in closing here, you know, it would be named forever the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club or Centennial, whatever you would like. It would be developed and improved by the Rotary Club. It'll be owned by the community through the city of Coeur d'Alene, be managed and maintained by the city of Coeur d'Alene, you know, or the downtown association, whoever they kind of designate to put together. But that's the problem with a lot of these projects. They get done and they're beautiful year one, and then who takes care of them in the future? And I think that you've got an entity out there that'll do that, and I think it makes for a great project. So this to me is a very exciting project, and I hope you're excited about it. I think the exposure that it brings to the Rotary Club is second to none. It's really a rare opportunity. You have the opportunity to make the improvements you want, and so I just ask you to please seriously consider this. And I want to just open up, see if there's any questions.
Perfect. Kimber, would you like to ask your question or have me ask it?
Oh, I can ask it. I guess I was just, thank you, Bill, by the way. That was a nice presentation. And thanks, Jack, for all the work that you've done. I was just wondering if there's any potential for us to allow eventually for maybe beer and wine service in the park. Priorities.
We have Troy here from the city who can answer that question if you like.
Thank you, Kimber. Those are great priorities. Yes. Councilmember Miller has weighed in as well that will be looked at for our wine and alcohol downtown. However, we do have a permit process where one can get a permit to serve that in a designated area such as the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Park.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Amy, would you like to ask your question next?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to see if there would be agreements in place to ensure the city protects the park as a park in perpetuity, that there would not be opportunity for the city to pivot and utilize that property in any other way in the future.
Am I back on?
Yeah, you're on.
All right, thank you. So Ignite would look to be a partner on this. As Ignite closes the Lake District, all of those assets transfer to the city. The city is then the holder of the title. In that situation, there would be no property taxes on said property. And the city, in order to get rid of property, has to declare it surplus. That's a very cumbersome process. We seldom ever do that. And we have never gotten rid of a park. So I think you could get pretty comfortable that it's not going to be liquidated, because as a representative, you could say this was designated. It's also got a huge investment by the Rotary Club into it. So I'm giving you the legal side to it. The political side would be very challenging to get rid of a park in the city of Coeur d'Alene when we have so many great parks. But great question.
And let me add, I think from the beginning, that has been, at least some of us have been just doing some research on this, is that we would want to put whatever agreements in place, you know, through the acquisition and through the Ignite phase to make sure to protect Rotary as much as possible. So at least from my point of view, it's like we would go to the max of what we can do legally to protect the name into perpetuity.
Luke, would you like to ask your question? Okay, so Luke asked, how would the improvements be explored and determined?
Or I was on, yeah, I was on mute there, right?
Oh, there you go.
Well, I would answer that it would be up to the club, and I presume it would be up to the President's Council. And I know there's been discussion from the board about expanding so other members can be involved in that process. As Bill said, I think the slate would be totally wide open from leaving it exactly as it is, which I wouldn't recommend, to doing whatever our club in the next year and a half chooses to do and has the funds. And, we have not unlimited funds, but we have certainly a significant fund. We could do a lot of improvements in that, but that would be up to the club.
Yeah, I concur, Jack. We've talked about that, and with all of these projects, not just this one in terms of design, that it would, between the board and the President's Council and creating more committees, there will be opportunities for more committees as we go along and once the project's chosen.
Excellent. Okay, Jack, I'm going to stop sharing your screen here.
I was just going to ask Jody, Bob, is there a way, there are several questions, probably more to come, how questions like are being asked can be answered. Is there something that we can point to folks that can continue to ask questions and get feedback?
You mean in terms of time?
Well, yeah, we need to get to the other two presentations, but there are a lot of questions and there'll be more that come. How can people, make these questions and get answers?
So I think for the city ones, I can probably just have Troy answer those here on the chat for us so we can watch those answers come through. If there's additional questions, you could email Bob or myself and we can get them out to those that are responsible for the projects and get answers back to you. Okay, and and so there was a suggestion to create a FAQ, frequently asked questions.
Yeah, exactly. I think
we can get those out to the club too.
Yeah, we can get that posted on the website. So, okay, we're moving into our next presentation. John, you want to go ahead and share your screen and unmute yourself?
Okay.
Perfect. And go ahead and get your screen shared.
Okay, are we set and ready here? Let me work this back up.
Your screen isn't shared yet.
It is not. Okay.
Click on the green share screen button down at the bottom.
Okay, let me just come back to that. Thought I had clicked it and...
Yeah, it pops up a screen and then choose the one with your presentation.
There we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This project is the Blackwell City Park Fountain Restoration Project. Certainly fits well within, I think, what you have talked about as a quality Centennial project. It envisions kind of the restoration of the original show fountain that was built 115 years ago. This is an image of the original Blackwell City Park as it was finished and became the community gathering place. This line that you see along the eave here is roughly the north end of what you see today as the basketball courts. And the restoration would be of this show fountain that was built as part of this community gathering spot. This is a more detailed view looking to the east, looking approximately up Sherman Avenue. And these barns right here that stored some of Blackwell's electric rail cars is the current site of the Chamber of Commerce building. So you can see historically that this was an integral part of the park and part of the community downtown gathering at that time. Iconic view for scale. This was a favorite place for people to come gather. The dance pavilion that you previously saw could hold up to 150 couples dancing on a community event, which is a pretty amazing thing. But the scaling of this and the identity would be intended to be very similar in nature and consistent with some of the restoration things we are doing in the park with, for example, the return of the carousel, the restoration and remodeling of the grandstand project that's been recently completed. Again, this was a place where people gathered. In this age of selfies, these are the selfies from a tripod of 115 years ago, and this was the place where people met and became a social kind of gathering spot. The only real image I've seen of how the fountain functions is this colorized postcard image, where there would be also a central spire. Then water would spill from a basin down the rock spine, or as I call it, the pineapple, in the center of the fountain. In terms of size and scaling, we do have some understanding of how big this was, because Blackwell did leave Coeur d'Alene and went out to Spirit Lake and build a brand new city and a series of parks out there. And strangely enough, the only thing that remains of his original depot park out there is a second rendition of his fountain, which I've gone out and taken some detailed measurements of. So how would this fit into the park? It would be our intent to build a plaza to go with this that would replicate the Rotary wheel. The fountain would be placed in the very center of the wheel. And then at the perimeter or the edges, we would have a series of benches that would also have the Rotary logo. And we would continue the tradition of pathway access and floral display that would go with this. We would also have a series of legacy stones to go with it to kind of tell the Rotary story, and as well the Centennial story and the contributions and impact that the club has had on the history of Coeur d'Alene. As far as locations in the park, there are a number of places that we can talk about. It hasn't been landed yet because I think as this project has taken shape, there's a lot of discussion yet to be had about what would be the most visible and appropriate spot. Obviously, 4 sites come to mind that all have, I think, strong points that would be of benefit to both the community and the club. 2 and 3 are closest to where the fountain originally was. If we were to place the fountain actually where it originally was in the park, it would probably be somewhere on the lower half of these basketball courts. Site 3 and Site 4 obviously would have a strong relationship with a previous project that you've done, the Rotary Band Shell, and would have great impact as well. So the intent, of course, is to have this public space to recreate the historicity of the fountain. It would be a closed system fountain with sump to recirculate water, so we wouldn't lose. I think in the original fountain of 115 years ago, I think they wasted the water, but the intent would be able to kind of project the impact of the club on the community and the park, but to also create this great gathering spot for future generations in the park. So with that, that's kind of the summary of the project, what it would look like, where possibly it could be located. I know you're very concerned about the ability to construct it within the next year, and any one of those 4 sites, if approved,
1 minute.
in dialogue with the city, could be easily used and constructed within the coming year. So with that, I would open it up to questions.
So go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to ask the question, or type it into the chat.
What would the cost be?
Well, I think we're looking at it within your budgets of about $300,000 to do this.
John, where's that? You mentioned the other sites. What was the number 1 site that you that was there?
Let's go back. Number 1 site would be more out towards the south end of the Museum of North Idaho. Obviously, as the museum goes into transition and moves, this area is going to be reconfigured, converted to green space. Site number 1 would offer some opportunity and visibility from Northwest Boulevard in both directions, either coming to the west off of Sherman or coming south into downtown. It also has some visibility when you're on the Centennial Trail coming from either direction.
Any other questions? Oh, Hank, why don't you go ahead and ask your question? Unmute.
I was just curious, what would be the annual operation and maintenance budget, and who would fund it, and how would we get any long-term commitment on said funding?
Well, I think the long-term commitment would have to be one for power, but I think we would explore ways in which we might be able to make that work. Obviously, the design hasn't been fully developed yet, but there may be some ways in which we might utilize solar, for example, to power a small pump to fill the basin. This is not a high volume, high circulation type water feature. And so I don't envision anything more than single phase power, which is available in the park. I think there would have to be an agreement and a partnership with the city to be able to take this forward. So there's more discussion to be had about the nature of that partnership, Hank, and what that would produce.
We can have Troy address the city part.
Fellow Rotarians, Troy Tymason here. It would be in a city park. It's not going to be very expensive. So as a partner that's not going to go away, the city would like to take on that responsibility.
Okay, are there any other questions?
And it looks like there's one in chat. The location.
Oh, yeah. When would the location of the fountain be determined?
Well, I think if this is a project that is selected, I think the next step would be then to establish a committee, a working committee in your group to interface with the city, say Parks and Recreation Commission, and ultimately make a recommendation to both your board and the council as to the best location. These four suggestions are a point of departure. If there is a better location, certainly we can talk about that. But as I sort of looked at how this might come forward, understanding your need to have a completed project in the coming year, I thought I would start the discussion with these four sites because they make the most sense at this point.
I have a quick question.
To get that decision, I think probably if this is selected in the next 60 days, if we had to.
Okay, Chris, last question goes to you.
Just wondering, do I understand correctly that if we chose the first project where effectively Ignite is providing the land, we could build a fountain like this if we chose to on that other piece of land rather than in a park?
That is correct. I think this project, the fountain, could fit very well into that other site. The scaling perhaps of the plaza might not work as well.
Thanks.
Okay, well, with that, thank you so much, John. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up, Julie, you want to go ahead and share your screen and unmute yourself?
Sure. Okay, can you see that?
We can.
Very good. Okay, well, good. Excuse me?
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julie Gibbs, and I'm the board president for the Museum of North Idaho. I would like to thank the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club for the opportunity to present the Lake Coeur d'Alene experience for consideration as your centennial gift to the community. As we start, I would like to ask you to set aside any past perspective you might have of the Museum of North Idaho. We have a new location, and with that, we have a new energy to reimagine the museum from the ground up. We are very excited to welcome Britt Thurman as our new executive director. Britt grew up in Coeur d'Alene and brings extensive museum experience plus a fresh vision for the museum's future. This graphic shows the White House at its new location at the base of Tubbs Hill. Mr. J.C. White built this house in 1903 on Sherman Street, and he was a prominent business leader, an active civil servant, and we think very likely a charter member of the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club. At the museum's new location, it will serve as a hub for public gatherings. Our site fronts the Centennial Trail and is adjacent to McEwen Park, both of which are visited by well over 100,000 people annually. The Tubbs Hill Trail will also connect through the site, and the White House itself will serve as a focal point that will draw people from downtown Coeur d'Alene. In our new exhibit hall, a combination of artifacts, graphics, and modern technology will create a fun and engaging learning experience for our visitors. And in contrast to the current museum, we will be open year-round. So with this new location, the extended hours, the museum will become a destination serving at least 15,000 visitors a year and over 3,000 school children. The Rotary Lake Coeur d'Alene experience will be the centerpiece of the new museum. We have chosen the overarching theme of water to frame the story of our history. And visitors will discover how Lake Coeur d'Alene is at the heart of a regional system of waterways that define the past, present, and future history of our region. People will learn about the lake's central role in early tribal life, as well as the communities that emerged along with the development of mining, logging, transportation, and recreation industries. This experience will illustrate the importance of continued environmental stewardship to protect Lake Coeur d'Alene for future generations. Making the vision of a new museum become reality is a community-wide effort of collaboration and teamwork. We began our journey almost 2 years ago with the idea of moving the J.C. White House to the vacant property at the base of Tubbs Hill. We learned the house was scheduled for demolition in late 2019, so this kicked off a whirlwind of activity as the museum collaborated with the Tubbs Hill Foundation, Ignite CDA, and the Coeur d'Alene City Council to develop a site plan and to acquire a long-term lease. At the same time, we formed a team of experts that met bi-weekly for several months to plan the myriad of logistics that was required to move the 117-year-old house. On November 16th last year, the big move was safely and successfully completed. And since then, we have been doing work necessary to open the house for some museum work in 2021. And also several of our longtime museum members have given generous donations and have taken naming rights for new public spaces in the White House. We are currently working with Architects West to develop an innovative design that will blend the historic character of the J.C. White House with a modern 4,500 square foot exhibit hall. As shown in this concept sketch, the White House will serve as the main entrance to the museum with a welcome lobby and store on the first floor and a research library and conference facility on the second floor. The new exhibit hall area will be entirely below ground, and our priority is to create a modern and expansive space that will serve as a complementary backdrop for our new exhibits. We believe the hallmark of a great museum is that it creates a memorable learning experience for visitors. And in order to create a great museum for Coeur d'Alene, we contracted Alchemy of Design, a professional museum design firm. We have worked with Alchemy to gather ideas and feedback from the community, and this input is the basis of the historical themes for the new museum. This floor plan shows the lower level of the White House on the right, where visitors will enter the exhibit hall. The new exhibit hall on the left is shown with a conceptual layout of the historical themes and exhibit areas. As the showcase feature, the Lake Coeur d'Alene experience will draw people into the exhibit hall to learn about the connection between the lake, the natural resources, and the events that make up our heritage. Last year, I had the privilege of attending a Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club meeting to hear Janet Gallimore, the executive director of the Idaho State Historical Society, speak about the new Idaho State Museum in Boise. Janet described the emotional intensity of the award-winning Big Burn exhibit with visual, sound, and a wind sensation that puts one right in the middle of the 1910 fires. On a smaller scale, we will also use a multisensory technology to connect people with Lake Coeur d'Alene. And I think people of all ages will enjoy taking the wheel of a steamboat simulator. They will feel the motion of the waves as they steer the boat on a historical journey around the lake. As the focal point of the exhibit hall, the Coeur d'Alene Lake experience will be prominently acknowledged as Rotary's centennial gift to the community.
1 minute.
Over the last 2 years, the museum has set and met ambitious targets to move the White House and to do the work needed to open it for small gatherings in 2021. Since we began our capital campaign, we've received cash donations and contracted commitments for over $700,000. And this level of funding will take us into the final phase of design, as shown by the blue arrow on this graphic. Construction will take 12 to 15 months, and we have a grand opening target of late 2022. With Rotary's funding, we will design and build the Coeur d'Alene Lake experience in parallel with building construction. And our point forward funding for the new building is $3.2 million. Our phase 1 target is to raise half of this amount, so we may begin construction. The remainder will be raised as construction progresses. So from your website, I see that Rotary's themes are to inspire and connect people and places, and that learning is a foundation of Rotary's service above self motto. We believe Rotary's themes mirror the foundational elements of the Museum of North Idaho's vision. Our new museum will connect people with our regional heritage and strengthen their desire to serve the community. And the museum will inspire appreciation of our abundant natural resources and create an energy for personal stewardship of the lake. And the museum will transform lives through an interactive experience that sparks curiosity and a passion to learn more. We ask that you catch this vision and select the Rotary Lake Coeur d'Alene experience as your Centennial project. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Looks like Laura, you got the first question.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Julie, for your presentation. Assuming it's all ADA compliant and there's an elevator?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what the work that we're currently doing with Architects West and our museum designers is to ensure that it is an accessible experience. We will build accessibility into the exhibits so that people of all ages and abilities can enjoy them. So if there's like a child can enjoy it just as much as a taller adult or someone with vision impairment or mobility challenges, they will also be able to enjoy the exhibits.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious how the fundraising is coming along. I think Jim is in charge of that. Is that correct?
He is, yes. Jim is in charge of it, and we have Dave Patzer as our capital campaign chairman, and Jocelyn Babcock is our director of development. And our fundraising has gone very well. And we have raised with cash donations in our account and then commitments for later this year and early next year, over $700,000. So that we've met our targets for last year and this year to move the house and do the work to open it, plus to begin the next phase of design. So we have one ask out for a 7-figure gift, and the team is also working on additional support for private donations and for corporate support.
Okay, we'll go to KJ and then to Sue.
Yes, I was just wondering, given that you'll have a broad range of donors, how the Rotary name would be included in all this at a $300,000 gift level.
Well, the lake experience itself will be it'll be the central focus, the focal point exhibit for the museum. And since the theme is water and the lake is at the heart of all that, and we would expect to have the Rotary branding and the acknowledgement of the Centennial gift very prominently shown in that space within the experience. So anybody coming into the exhibit hall will be seeing that.
Okay, and last question to Sue.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know how big physically will the exhibit be at the museum?
The space we have for the exhibit hall is 4,000 square feet. And this will be the feature exhibit. So that would be part of the process of design, but it would, so I can't really give you an exact square footage of what it would be right now, but it would be the central feature that people would see as they come into the exhibit. And then as they work their way through the museum, that will be, part of the visitor flow through the museum.
So Julie, as far as the name of the exhibit, it wouldn't be called the Coeur d'Alene Rotary Club Lake something or other, whatever you said. I mean, would it be just noted that we donated to it, or would it be actually named after our Rotary Club?
It would be named after the Rotary Club. That would be what the acknowledgement would show in the branding, that it is the Rotary Club Lake Coeur d'Alene experience, and that it's the Centennial gift.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, everybody. Luke, I will turn it back over to you.
All right, Jody or Bob, do you have any concluding comments?
There was a couple questions in the chat that came in last minute for those two. So just to clarify those, we had 400 square feet. Is that for that question?
Yes.
Okay.
400 square feet.
Okay, perfect. So here's what we're gonna do. Yeah, it looks like there was several around that question. There's some questions that were out there. We've got about 3 minutes, and Troy can answer the ones for the park real quick, so you don't have to send out a follow-up email. And then Julie, there was a couple more. Luke, do we have time to just do a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Luke.
First question was who pays the property taxes for the park? The city has the luxury of being tax exempt, so there are no property taxes once it's vested in the name of Ignite and would come to the city. So I could say we pay them, but there are no taxes. Has the city already committed to maintenance, or is that something we're hoping they will take on? I'm here as a representative of the city that we look to be a partner. An asset controlled by the city is one that we take seriously and maintain. Of course, council gets the final decision, but I am here to state that we are looking to be a partner, and that would be our partnership in the maintenance. Good question that I think we answered. The 300,000 improvement seems like a huge budget. Is there a draft budget that gets this to the numbers? That would go back to the committee, right, Jody?
Yeah, that would go back to our president's council and those committees before. So real quick, Julie, I think we got all the questions answered for the fountain. Looks like we got the how big is the exhibit? And then there was one question that says, if the exhibit is a focal point, why would it be located downstairs?
Okay, the downstairs will be the main exhibit hall for the museum. We will not have exhibits to speak of in the White House itself. So the main exhibit hall will be the modern space, and it will be a modern space so we can accommodate modern exhibit technology, and so that it's large enough to accommodate our exhibits. And one of the reasons we chose to put it downstairs too is that it's advantageous for museums to actually have limited windows in an exhibit hall. So if you're protecting important artifacts and you have more wall space for exhibits. So it's a practical matter as well to have a lower level exhibit hall.
And I think there was a question out there, will there be an elevator?
There will be an elevator, yes. The elevator will reach the lower level and the first 2 floors of the White House, so that all public spaces will be accessible by elevators.
Perfect, thanks, Julie.
One other comment, the ceilings will be 12 feet in height. So it'll be a huge area. So it'll be very, very high to handle all different types of exhibits in that area.
Okay. Then we got one last question, then we'll wrap it up. And anyone that has additional questions, send them to Bob and I, and we'll get them answered for you. The question was, what will the security of the building entail?
It will be, we'll have a security system in the building. So, and then of course, we'll have exit, security systems on the exit doors and such. So it will be secured via a modern security system.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Okay, so next steps. You should be receiving your voting ballot. It is not mail-in. You don't have to bring it in physically. We promise it will not take a week after the voting ends on December 2nd to determine what our Centennial project will be. There will be no lawsuits. Okay, with that, after the voting is done, we are requiring, the board is requiring, and the president's requiring 50% plus 1. So for the project to be determined. So if we get that 50% plus 1, then we will go ahead and go forward. If not, there will be a revote. Once we determine the actual project, the President's Council will meet with the board and we'll start deciding what committees we need and go forward from there. So stay tuned, vote today. We can get stickers if you want. Okay, I'm gonna turn.
Okay, Jody, just one question. We'll put these on the webpage, or is that right, Ed? These presentations will go up onto the webpage. All right, so the people that are not there, not here today, please direct them to the webpage if you see them. if they missed this presentation. Again, thank you, Bill, John, and Julie. This was just terrific. Thank you. Very exciting opportunities for us as a club. And thanks, Bob and Jody, for all your hard work in the committee.
Luke, I have a historical comment to make.
Yes, go ahead, Dick.
The Rotary Club first met at a restaurant called the Sugar Bowl at 308 Sherman Avenue, almost identical to where the Pocket Park is right now.
Wow. There's probably Twinkies that are still from that day that are still there.
Luke, can I just make one very quick comment?
Yep.
I just have to say that the reason we just had this opportunity, and I think it was just phenomenal to hear all these projects, is because Bob Burton in 2013, after listening to the district governor, came to the board and said, I think we need to plan for a project to honor our centennial. No one else at the meeting suggested it. No one else on the board even really remembered or thought about it. It was Bob that led us on this course. And I just think we need to thank him for that inspiration in 2013 that got us to this just phenomenal opportunity. And thank you to all of you. I'm really excited.
Yeah, ditto. Thanks, Bob, for your leadership here. Okay, with that, the quip for the day. Murderers and horse thieves are often found in a state of suspense. We are adjourned.